Hey guys, what is up? Tabs McCaffrey here from the Urban Goddess shop. It has been a while since I've done a video like this and I've been working on this, kind of collecting the information. Today's video, like you guys saw in the title, are my top 10 Etsy sales. I've had a pretty wild ride on Etsy as it's not my primary platform and I didn't actually start cross-listing items over there until July. I was really surprised when I went over the sales total. What changed? Why did I start listing in July? I signed up with Prime Lister. Prime Lister is a cross-listing extension that you can have on your computer. It just assists you in cross-listing your items to different platforms. It kind of like pre-fills out some areas. I'm sure many of you guys already cross-list already. If you're in Canada, this is the only platform that works between US and Canadian sites. The other platforms do not cross-list over to Canadian sites, and that's a big downfall if you're a Canadian and you're trying to sell on multiple platforms. Yeah, that was like the biggest selling feature for me. Now, it does work fine if you're in the States and you're just cross-listing over to American sites. Like I said, the big feature was that it was available to Canadian sites. I'm gonna do a little blurb about them at the end because I do have a way for you to save money if you sign up. Total sales for the last 6 months of 2021 on Etsy were $2,990. That's crazy. That's almost $3,000. So this is the money I collected. I also had to pay shipping out of that, and I estimated about $250 in shipping. Still, that's like $2,750 on Etsy as a secondary or like third platform that I'm cross-listing to. In order to list on Etsy, it either has to be handmade or vintage, and these are all vintage items. So I do like to thrift quirky, unique vintage items, and this platform is so easy to list to. It's very simple for the fees and the breakdown. I really enjoy it. Let's get into these sales. That's why you're here. Number 10 on my list was a vintage tapestries Ireland rare knit wool sweater cape. This sold for $75. I did get it in a Jomar vintage jackets box. You're gonna hear that a lot. A lot of these items came out of those boxes. It was pretty unique. I think the reason why most of these items come from my Jomar vintage jacket box is that I don't find a lot of these kind of unique items in my local thrift stores, and that's part of the reason why I purchased these boxes from Jomar. The cost of goods on this item was $20. Number 9 on my list is a vintage tan leather sienna studio jacket. It sold for $75 as well. It was very 90s, kind of like that Friends style. I love these pieces, and it also came in a Jomar vintage jacket box. The cost of goods on this one was $20 as well. Number 8 on my list is a vintage Edinburgh plaid mohair blend cardigan sweater. This one sold for $75 as well. Here's a fun fact. This was actually the first time I had learned about mohair. I was doing a thrift haul. I'd grabbed this at our local Value Village. I was like reading the material content tag and I was like, mohair? What the heck is mohair? And you guys were so awesome, hopped in the comments, educated me. It is now a material content that I am looking for all the time. It tends to add value to the item. I'm gonna show up some comps on mohair cardigan sweaters if you are selling on Etsy. So definitely something that, and even Poshmark, probably something that you wanna keep your eye out for, or you already know about, and I was like literally the last reseller to figure out what mohair was. Number 7 on this list was a Vintage Express black faux fur winter coat. It sold for $75. This came from a Jomar box. What I loved about it, it was very unique. It was amazing quality. Like amazing quality. I was so shocked. What I find with these kind of pieces though is that you just need to wait for the right buyer, obviously have it priced well, and take really good pictures. The cost of goods on this one was $20. Number 6 on my list is a vintage Northern Elements Grandpa Knit cotton wool blend sweater. This sold for $75. These are literally my favorite pieces to thrift. I love Northern Reflections and I love their men's line. When you're looking for these pieces, definitely keep in mind like cotton, wool, the color, any of the patterns, the size. I definitely want to make sure that I'm grabbing probably like a men's medium or small. When you start to get into the men's extra large, if you're selling them into a women's category, they're just too big, they're too long, they're just droopy. Those are some of the things that I would be looking for if I was out thrifting looking for these sweaters. Number 5 on my list is a vintage, and I'm gonna butcher this, Intawara alpaca Fair Isle knit sweater. This sold for $75. It was super soft and it sold in a week. This was the first time as well that I learned about alpaca. I had no idea that this was such a sought after material content. And once you pick a few up, you'll be able to tell the texture of it. You'll know when you touch it that it's alpaca because it's like the softest material next to cashmere. I love alpaca stuff. I'm always looking for it. The cost of goods on this item was $12. Number 4 on my list, and we're getting into like the higher priced items now. Number 4 was a handmade cream textured knit wheat grandma sweater. As if I put all those words together. The reason why I say wheat is that it had pictures of wheat in the knit pattern, which I thought was really unique. This item sold for $120. I shipped it to Paris, France, and you know me, I like Googled the address just to see where it was going. Anytime I'm shipping something across seas, I like to Google the address and just kind of see where it's going. It was such a cool, it was like in the middle of Paris. I don't know, I just imagine like someone like Emily in Paris wearing this beautiful sweater with a nice skirt and some tights and high heels. It was just a total vibe. Cost of goods on this item was $10 as well. Now, I also have to admit, I forgot to say this. The mohair sweater that I thrifted, that one went to the United Kingdom, which I thought was so cool because it was an Edinburgh brand sweater. And I also Google searched their address and it was a little farm in the United Kingdom. Very cool, very cool. All right, let's bounce back to number 3 on my list. This was a vintage patchwork blue floral quilt coat. It sold for $200. This was the first time that I had ever found a quilt coat. I can remember the day like spotting it at Value Village and just going beeline straight for it. It was exactly what I was looking for. Unfortunately, it wasn't my size, which is why I ended up reselling it. I am always on the hunt for amazing quilts because I want to make my own quilt coat. I think they're super cool, very unique, and to buy one, they're like $500, like $350 to $500. Obviously, if I can find a quilt for under $100 that I enjoy the pattern, I'm gonna try and make my own. The cost of goods on this item was $20. Next one, number 2, is a vintage Jean-Louis Cherrier faux fur coat. This sold for $250. I did have it listed at $350. This person messaged me, asked me if I would take $250, and I said absolutely. I dropped the price and they bought it right away. This came in my first Jomar vintage jacket box, and this was what like really lit me to buy a couple more. You know, they reeled me in with that one. It was a stunning coat. I actually did some research on Jean-Louis as a designer, and he had amazing pieces. I'm gonna pop up some comps on his items just for you to take a look. Very unique. Make sure you grab them if you find them, if your cost of goods is reasonable. And the cost of this item was $20. Now, the last item that I have on this list, this was a first for me. I had never bought an item like this. It was a vintage North Beach Michael Hoban leather jacket. It sold for $299. This was my first introduction to leather jackets. This introduced me to the love of my life. Like, I will always go into the leather jacket section because I am looking for these kind of jackets now. Like, it set the bar so high for me when I'm out thrifting. I will look in both men's and women's, and the cost of goods on this item was $35. That wraps up my sales on Etsy. I hope that this helps you in your reselling business. If you aren't already cross-listing your items to Etsy, you need to start now. Check out the link for Prime Lister. You can use my code TABSMcCaffrey. You'll get a 7-day free trial and you'll save 30% off your first month. I love using them. I feel like I'm always shouting them out, but honestly guys, it changed my business. Between selling on Etsy, eBay, and Facebook Marketplace, using a cross-listing application has saved me hours of time. It's so easy to use these platforms. I hope you like this video. If it brings you value in your reselling business, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Drop in the comments, what are some sales that you've had on vintage items? Do you sell on Etsy? I want to hear what your take is on this. Okay guys, I'm out of here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! multiple and you're just cross-listing